Today, on Our American Republic, conservatism. The term conservative is a complex word. When this term is used properly, it pertains to the style and reach of the U.S. government. In some circles, the term has been misused to mean reserved, cautious, or reluctant to change. But, contrary to popular nomenclature, conservatism was founded to revisit the original intent of the Constitution and move away from mid-20th century policies that expanded the powers of the federal government. The conservative movement stands for individual freedom by promoting individual responsibility and self-reliance. And it believes that individual freedom can only be possible with a limited federal government. For the purposes of this discussion, we will use the term constitutionalism to describe this political movement. The principles of constitutionalism seek to promote freedom of choice and liberty by focusing heavily on all powers delegated to the states and to the people via the Bill of Rights. Therefore, issues such as marriage, abortion, drugs, and welfare, among others, are responsibilities to be handled by the states and the people. Handling such national problems requires the states and the people to consider whether new policy should be handled at the federal, state, or individual levels, and ultimately, whether the federal government should play any part at all. From the perspective of the Constitutionalists, the outcome of the American Civil War significantly reduced the powers that the states held. Changes to the perception of power held by the states is illustrated in the 16th Amendment to establish an income tax, and the 17th to allow for the direct election of senators. Specifically, Constitutionalists note that the 17th Amendment removed an explicit check and balance from the Congress, i.e. the states versus the federal government and the people, and eroded the ability for state legislatures to directly influence federal policy through senators in the U.S. Congress. Another point of confusion is that mistakenly constitutionalism is often lumped together with evangelical movements. Though constitutionalists support the First Amendment, they do not support the use of federal government to enact policies that limit individual choice or restrict individual freedoms granted by the Constitution. Marriage, abortion, and drug policy are three key issues where the two schools of thought diverge. Constitutionalists would argue that government must encourage the practice of all religions as long as constitutional limits are respected by federal legislation on religious issues of note. Constitutionalists, also known as conservatives, support limiting the federal government to encourage individualism, freedom, and responsibility among the people and the states. Perhaps a monolithic federal government is not the solution to all things, and just maybe, it's up to us to solve problems facing businesses, the city, the county, and the state. Is this a reasonable approach? Can the states and the people effectively handle the responsibilities laid upon us by our forefathers? Should issues like marriage, abortion, drugs, and welfare be left to the states and/or the people on an individual basis?